Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I am going to be ranking all the Jackass stunts from Jackass 1, the very first movie that came out in 2002. So let's get started with Rent-A-Car Crash Up Derby. This one is very chaotic and sets the tone for the rest of the film. It also showcases how resilient Johnny is, and it has well-fitted music, and I give it 8 out of 10. Muscle Stimulator seems very painful, especially the gooch part, as well as very funny. 7 out of 10. Fatty Fall Down. Not much to say, but the first time we see one of them nude in public, so that's a step forward. And by first time, I mean the first time in the movie. If this is your first time, if the movie was your first exposure to Jackass, which it was for me, that was the first time you saw them naked in public. I give it a 5 out of 10. Golf Cart Antics. This is an extremely epic stunt, and one of my favorites in the first movie. The music fits very well, and it's real cool to see them destroy a golf park. It's also the first stunt that seriously wrecked one of them in the movie, Johnny Knoxville. I give it 9 out of 10. Party Boy Japan. One of the funniest stunts in the movie. Party Boy was extremely brave to do something like this in public, but I'm sure he's used to it. The police hat ironically made him look even better. I give it a 7 out of 10. Wee Man Head Chop. All I gotta say is bonk. Also, a disclaimer: I will only be including stunts that are stunts, like they do some sort of activity that is either risky or involves them doing some sort of dangerous sport. So things like Preston getting out of the pool will not be included. Alligator Nipple Bite. One of the first extremely painful stunts in the movie, and I think it's very legendary since it made it into the trailer for Jackass 4. I give it a 9 out of 10. Alligator Tightrope. Steve was first starring in the movie, and since he's my favorite character, he was hilarious in this one. The best part is all his friends telling him not to look at the freaking alligator about to bite his ass. I give it a 7 out of 10. Fireworks Wake Up, the first instance of parental abuse in the movie. Bam being my second favorite character solely because of how unapologetic he is after doing these stunts to his parents. And the first time we see April, one of the best moms in movie history. And not only do they do it once, but twice, which is even funnier, and I give it a 7 out of 10. Old Guys on the Street and the Shoplifter. The first time Irving is seen in the movie, watching a bunch of old dudes fall over and push each other over in the streets is actually very entertaining for me. And as for the shoplifting part, the fact that he tried to steal stuff as he's being escorted out makes this all the more better as he's being yelled at. And him trying to steal the little statue outside the store is the icing on the cake. I give it a 6 out of 10. Hardware Store Crap. I much more prefer the beginning segment where Dave accidentally lets loose in the van while everyone scrambles to get out of the car as Dave cries out in terror. Plus, it's the first time in the movie we see Lance and his weak stomach, which in and of itself becomes a gag in the series. It's also very funny watching them all crumble outside as Dave tries to clean himself. As for when he actually shat in the toilet, the store owner's reaction was very funny. Plus, this feels like something people actually still do. I give it a 4 out of 10. Hair clipper pranks. This is the running gag throughout the movie, and by far, I think it's the tamest thing they've done to each other in the first movie. I give it a 4 out of 10. Mouse traps. Extremely painful to look at, and the trap on his ding was absolutely perfect. Another epic stunt. 7 out of 10. The bungee wedgie. Call me immature, but this one was extremely funny. It's also the first instance of blood in the movie. The best thing is that all the guys at the beginning questioning if it would actually work. I give it a 7 out of 10. Riot Control Test. This one is extremely important because it's the first time in the movie we see Knoxville show signs of fear. And I don't blame him because this one could have actually killed him if he'd done it wrong. And it just looked awful. And I give it an 8 out of 10. A Big Cone. I have a feeling this one is not out of ordinary for the Japanese residents to see. It's also a quite adorable wee man can fit inside a cone. I give it a 5 out of 10. My Brakes. I would have loved to see him crash into a car or something, but what can you do? I give it a 3 out of 10. Ass kicked by girl. You could tell from the beginning Ryan stood no chance against Naoka. and he got his shit kicked real bad. But I applaud him for lasting as long as he did. I give it a 7 out of 10. Tropical pole vaulting. Another one of my favorites from the first film. Steve-O just makes any stunt a million times better. Once again, perfect music. Plus, he got an infection from that shat water, so he wasn't without consequences in this one. I give it a 8 out of 10. Shopping cart to the hip. There's an extended version in the special features on the DVD, but I'm only counting the main stuff. Anyways, that shit hurtin'. And I give it a 6 out of 10. Night pandas. This one is perfect. The fact that the pandas are native in China and not Japan, the fact that the residents are laughing and having fun with them while they tear the streets apart is amazing. Also, Wee Man Panda is adorable. One of the best in the entire series. I give it a 9 out of 10. Rocket skates. A very good idea, but I feel they could have used stronger rockets. Though I'm sure a stronger one would have blown Johnny's feet. I give it a 6 out of 10. Roller disco truck. Did this movie have seizure warnings? Anyways, another one of my favorites simply because of how insane the idea is and how well it works. And the party did not suck. I give it an 8 out of 10. Wasabi snooters. Again, we can see Steve-O going above and beyond to entertain. This also seems extremely awful since any liquid going into your nose is already bad enough. As well as the first vomit fest stunt in the first movie. The fact that he picks up the stuff he regurgitated and puts it back in his mouth only to puke it again is golden. 5 out of 10. Sumo chase. It seems like most Japan people have no sense of humor. 4 out of 10. The gong. A very risky stunt, but very well done. But it seems like the joke was more on the guy holding the gong. Ceiling fan. Oh, for the gong, I give it a 6 out of 10. Actually, no, I give it a 4 out of 10. Ceiling fan. Again, Steve-O is a freaking legend, and I give Ceiling fan an 8 out of 10, because that one was just epic. Crocodile prank. Watching April freak out is a running gag itself in the series. Plus, it's one of the more tamer pranks they played on Bam's parents. Plus, Bam finally made April say the F word, so mission accomplished, and I give it a 7 out of 10. WizKid haircut. My favorite haircut prank from the first movie, simply because of how pissed Wee Man gets, and I give it a 6 out of 10. Grinding the rail. Grinding this rail. He definitely went somewhere. Plus, that fall seemed hip-shattering, but it was nothing compared to the other stunts. Paper cuts. When I was a kid, I always wondered what paper cuts between the ribbons of my fingers would feel like. And these guys answered that for me. Really cringe-inducing for me. Plus, it's the first time Lance is broken in the movie. And of course, Steve-O made it better by doing one on his mouth. And I give it a 7 out of 10. The fortune teller. One of my favorite party boy moments. Funny and risky as usual. 7 out of 10. Sweaty fat fucks. My absolute favorite segment from the first movie. The music, the syncing of the music with the bales. Bam getting absolutely destroyed throughout this stunt. Perfect. Easily the best one from the first movie. And I give it a 10 out of 10. Old man workout. Again, watching an old man fall over is hilarious. And I give it a 6 out of 10. Department store boxing. The first stunt in the movie to actually F up Knoxville so bad, I don't want to swear anymore. I can't imagine any of them being able to beat Butterbean anyways. 7 out of 10. Jousting. This one was very fun. This one was very random. And the fact that they disguised Bam as a crippled makes it even funnier. 8 out of 10. Whale shark gummer. This one was actually very terrifying considering they left their parts vulnerable to the sharks. But nothing can compare to the shark bit in the second movie. Huge balls they have, I must say. And I give it an 8 out of 10. The tidal wave. Very tame compared to the rest, but rad nonetheless. And I give it a 6 out of 10. Off-road tattoo. One of the craziest ideas I've ever seen. And it was extremely well executed too. Plus the tattoo doesn't look that bad. And I give it an 8 out of 10. Aaron's haircut. One of the most messed up hairlines in the world. They really messed him up. 6 out of 10. Fireworks. Once again, we see Steve-O going to the absolute edge of his mind. At least they were warmer. I give it an 8 out of 10. BMX tug of war. Anything involving cacti. It's cactus spells bad. He got freaked up badly. And I give that one a 7 out of 10. Traffic jam. Not much to be said here, just Irving being Irving. And I give that one a 2 out of 10. Yellow snow cone. The first stunt in the series to make me gag slightly, but this is nothing compared to the later stuff in the series. Nothing more to be said but revolting. The ball kick is the best part though, and I give that a 3 out of 10. Wee Man kick. Not only is he short, but apparently flexible. Attacking Phil. Surprisingly hilarious. If you ever want to attack someone, you might as well do it when they're the most vulnerable. And I give it a 7 out of 10. I don't know if I gave the rating for Wee Man kick, but I give it a 4 out of 10. Golf course air horn. Probably the most light-hearted and less mean prank in the series. The fact that they blow the air horn even when the angry guy is teeing them off is so good. And I give it a 6 out of 10. Cougar. Cougars are indeed scary. 5 out of 10. Burglars. Feels like something that would be done today by modern day pranksters, but these guys do it so much better. 6 out of 10. Toy car. The fact that Steve-O turned this one down should give you an idea of how miserable this one is. I can see why they chose this to be the final stunt before the big failed ending. This really doesn't happen in nature. And I give it a 6 out of 10. The failed ending. The theatrical ending to this movie was indeed disappointing. At least we got to see the full ending as a special feature. And I give it a 2 out of 10. Overall rating for Jackass, the first movie, is 8 out of 10. That is my ranking of all the Jackass stunts from the first movie. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will most likely be ranking all the other stunts in the second movie, if there's a high enough demand for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.